Live, Anthony. Oh, and you're speaking on that mic.
And I'm speaking on this mic.
Yes, sir.
Back to this one. Hey, everybody. Here we go. Another round of live shows. We have another set of changes. It's quite interesting, all the stuff that's been going on. I'll actually do another quick turnaround and let you see all the great things that are going on for this live show. But what you don't get to see is we got about this big 4K camera going on. And now we got some switchers. We got TVs for questions. Now we have a whole staff. But so let's real quick, as we get ready for some of our announcements, we'll start saying hello. Like, for example, to, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Rue Platter or Plater. I don't think you can ruin our announcement today because you don't know what it is yet. So you can't spoil it as all of that. But as you can kind of see, we have an entire room set up here to make the production value a little bit bigger. So thanks for joining us on our Linux Academy and Cloud Assessments live show. Today, we are going to be joined by Head of OpenStack and Google Content, Stephen Smith, and OpenStack course author, amazing community contributor, and OpenStack code contributor, Amy. Why don't both of you just real quick say hello before we dive in and get started. So awesome. So today what we are going to do is we're going to announce, obviously it's either OpenStack or Google. It's going to be OpenStack today content. But real quick, as we go back, let's do a quick intro. My name is Anthony James, founder and CEO of linuxacademy.com and cloudassessments.com. You can follow me at twitter.com/AnthonyDJames or linkedin.com/n/AnthonyDJames. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow linuxacademy.com, scale your code, all of that other great stuff. Now, let's go ahead and do a quick recap of all of the announcements that we did last week. Now, if you are new to this live stream, just know what's going to end up happening is this month we are launching over 70 either courses, challenges, or live environment, independently consumable learning activities that are hands-on focused. All of our content announcements this month take advantage of our new hands-on lab system, as well as our new practice exam and quiz system, which is light years ahead of what we've ever had in the past, and it's only our first iteration. You should see some of the stuff that we're working on. So real quick on the screen here, as you can kind of tell, last Monday, we had just an office tour. All of these are available if you want to go watch them on the YouTube channel. On Tuesday, we announced with course author Matt's Google Cloud Security Essentials course. On Wednesday, we announced with course author Joseph Google App Engine Deep Dive. On Thursday, we announced with course author Craig AWS IM Deep Dive. And on Friday, we announced with course author Fernando are building a serverless chatbot with AWS Lex. All super great things. Now, these are 4 of our approximately 20 plus courses that we're launching. And we announced the new hands-on lab, introduction to IM on AWS, and about 5 other hands-on labs that are independently consumable learning activities as well. And so today I'm really excited to move on and just dive into our very next announcement. I'm going to check that TV you guys seeing up there. It looks like we got some good community going on there. And welcome everybody. Welcome Timothy. Welcome Julio. And oh, I love you. He said I love Linux Academy. Well, we love you. And it's really great to have everybody on. And so real quick, let's move over to our next thing, which I think is where Amy, course author Amy, don't quite announce your course, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Amy. Awesome. Well, congratulations on being elected to the committee. And also, here we go, real quick as a recap, before we get to the course announcement, which is your course, here's a little bit of a recap on our current course authoring team. Currently at Linux Academy, we employ all of our course authors on staff full-time. If you are interested or know of anybody who might make a great course author, we're hiring for AWS, Azure, Google, OpenStack, Linux, containers, security, all of that other great stuff. As you can see here, we have Stephen Smith, who has Amy, Matt, Joseph, Anthony, and Eric. 2 of those are joining or have already accepted to join Linux Academy and will be joining and onboarding this month, so we're excited about that. Terry Cox is actually in Dallas-Fort Worth this week for some of our announcements and for onboarding 2 brand new Azure course authors. And Thomas Hazlitt will be in, I believe, not Kansas City. He'll be in Dallas-Fort Worth the first week of May in order to onboard some more of our new course authors. As you can see, we've added to the team there. So really great growing team. We're not going to stop now. We are really just starting the first amount of a lot of our course author launches or course launches. We're doing all the month of April where we're going to do that. And so let's go ahead and dive into the announcement. So let's go ahead and dive into the announcement. And we are announcing Deploy and Manage OpenStack on Ubuntu, OpenStack Pike. Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about this course?
All right.
The connection's dropped to me over here. Her connection's done. Might want to let her know, Anthony.
Hey, Amy, you're so is it not streaming?
This is an issue of her coming to us.
What about Steven? Can he do it?
Yeah, Steven's still coming through.
So, Steven, real quick, it looks like we lost Amy. Amy is located, I believe, out in the San Antonio, Austin area. What's really cool is she has horses and all that other great stuff, so her connection's a little bit remote. So, Steven, real quick, why don't you tell us a little bit about this course from course author Amy?
Yeah, you bet. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Sorry about that, Amy. When you come back, we lost you. Real quickly, I'd like to share a little bit about her course. This is a new version of OpenStack that has been released for a while now called Pike. And this is very similar to the previous courses that we've done, which is deploying and managing our own OpenStack platform. Essentially, what you're going to be led through is building out networking and the security itself. So like I said, this course will actually get you up and building your own environment. You'll have your own OpenStack install. We do have some labs available. There are some things that are just hard to give to our students when it comes to a lab. So we do give some things in those lab environments so we can get the students hands-on working with OpenStack environments as quickly as possible. But for the most part, this course, like I said, will get you learning everything about OpenStack and building out your own platform.
Awesome, awesome. Now, in this specific course, I believe we actually have what looks like 3 hands-on OpenStack labs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you bet. So the very first OpenStack lab here, if you drill through that, first of all, in just a few seconds, there is no wait time on our OpenStack lab. Which is one of the really cool things about our OpenStack labs is there is no wait time. In just a few seconds, you have full access to the environment. You can use that environment whether you're working for the CLI. In other words, if you're working with OpenStack servers, it's all Linux, right? So you can work with those services all on a Linux terminal, or you have what's called the Horizon environment, which essentially is the dashboard. So in this very first lab here called Using the CLI, you will be SSH'd out to the OpenStack environment, and you will be led through a scenario of actually putting through different CLI-based things, setting up users and groups, getting and looking at the back.
He's dropped.
All right, all right. So real quick, Steven.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show some of these hands-on labs. If you want to go ahead and share my screen, if we can actually do that. Real quick on some of those questions, lots of stuff going on. For everybody posting stuff and requesting stuff, just kind of go through and look at it. Maybe a little bit of LFCSA, maybe some stuff on containers. What I would say is keep joining us for our live show, and also keep requesting. If you go inside the Linux Academy community and you go to linuxacademycom.ideas.aha.io, which is inside, right on the right-hand side of a sticky, and I'll show you that in the Linux Academy community. And if you, oh, here you go, say hi. Hi, Ingrid. Say hi, Ingrid. If you were to go look at that and vote, what we do is we basically go off our community votes first. So not only are we announcing 70 different things this month, we're doing so much more. We're on a quarterly release cycle. So in the month of July, you are going to see a bunch of more content coming out again. And what I will say is that our library is the most in-depth in terms of Linux, AWS, Google, OpenStack, Azure, and we have so much stuff. So we do have Kubernetes on Google. That's our introduction to containers on Google, which uses Google Container Service, which uses Kubernetes, right? So we have so much stuff. We have the Kubernetes container certification. We have the Docker certification, which by in and of itself has a whole bunch of depth. We have a little bit of an older course, but it has a lot of great examples that still apply that our students requested for us to keep out there, called Docker Deep Dive. We have Docker Quick Start. We have so many things that are going to be there. Real quick, we see a lot of people asking about closed captions. Closed captions are a little bit harder for us, to be honest with you, primarily because we have so much content. We have over 2,000 different videos. So to go back, and we're putting in an automated process. But when you think about captions, one thing you have to remember is that you have to make sure that it's good, right? So we have to have a review process for all the technical terms and everything that go in there, and we don't want the technical terms to be incorrect. So we have to put in a review process, a training process for the automated caption system. So there's a lot of things that are going on with it. So much great stuff is going on. For those of you requesting simple dashboards, I see it on there. Like, we have a really simple dashboard as it is. Our Cloud Assessments dashboard is even more simple. But one of the great things that we have going on right now is our design team is actually spending a lot of time doing stuff that's related to their name. Designing, get it? Yeah. So we've actually, a little bit real quick, actually, why not, right? So we just announced OpenStack Pike, but we have a lot of going on in the community, and I just love the interaction going on. So Joel, come here, bud. Okay. I don't think he's ready for this. So we have Joel, who is our Director of Product that reports to our Chief Product Officer, Christophe Limpelaere. And why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the plans that we have for the Linux Academy design, internal, external, or really just what you've been doing with your team recently. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of hiring and a lot of stuff. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It is very unexpected, but okay.
So this is Joel, everybody. Give him a big round of applause for coming on since I put him on the spot.
So one of the big things that we're actually working on is we're going to be reaching out as the design team to the entire community so that you guys can give us a lot of feedback on what are some of the things that you love about Linux Academy and what are some of the things that you think that we can actually improve on. So be on the lookout for a community post where we'll be sending out a survey that will have a bunch of different questions that we'll be using to improve the experience not only on Linux Academy but also on Cloud Assessment and even part of Scale Your Code. So we have a very big project that's coming up in the next quarter, and I kind of want to keep it a secret for now, but I think you guys will really, really enjoy it, and I think it will be a very cool thing. Especially, I will tell you about the new dashboard that we're going to be doing for Cloud Assessments, which will be a lot more condensed so that you can find all the content that you want for Cloud Assessments easier from your own dashboard.
Whether you have challenges, hands-on labs, learning activities, Cloud Assessments has so much stuff that we're launching just this quarter alone. So we're really excited to see that. Joel, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us. And we're really excited to have that content. And so really great stuff going on. Here's what I will say is we released more content this month than all of last year combined. We're going to do even more in July and even more after that. So not only are you going to see an awesome content library where all of our new content is utilizing our real-time grader engine, our new practice exam, but also it's utilizing our one-of-a-kind interactive diagrams that you might know as the original iteration of them as our CSA course, the Orion papers. And real quick, Mohammed also had a question in the community before I go and demo. Right now we got a lot of questions, and so I just love it. I just love interacting. And he says, can you add Ansible course? So what I will say is we already have an Ansible certification already out there. We also already have an Ansible deep dive course. So we have 2 Ansible courses. What I would also say is that we were scheduled to launch another Ansible course this month. However, just a few weeks ago, Ansible came out with a brand new iteration or a brand new release version that fundamentally changed a few things. And so what we did is we put it on pause in order for that to come out, get a few updates on there, or else the course would have been instantly outdated. You would have been requesting all the recent stuff. So we were on it. We are watching these things. But like I said, there's already 2 Ansible courses out there. There's a Red Hat certification Ansible one for it, which is up to date for the exam objectives. And then we do have the Ansible deep dive, which is on the 1.9 version, but it does talk about some of the changes between 1.9 and the 2.0 versions. And again, we are always watching it. So, all right, so many questions going on there. And so real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo these OpenStack labs. Now, one thing if you don't know at Linux Academy, whenever we build content, one of the things that we try to do is build practical application, right? So we don't just build a course that teaches you to answer exam questions. The reason we don't do that is because, you know, those are referred to as paper certified sometimes. Microsoft had a bad reputation, the paper certified. What we want to do is we want to make sure that you're qualified to the level at which the exam expects. And so what that means is, yes, we build practice exams. Our content is geared towards the exam, but ours is a little bit more in depth, which is aimed towards teaching you to be able to understand and apply those concepts required to pass an exam. Which means if you understand that, it doesn't matter what question they send your way. If you generally understand and have practical application for it, you will be successful, whether it's in a production environment or job interview or promotion or certification exam. Now, one of the things in order to do that we genuinely believe 100% at Linux Academy is hands-on. And so one of the cool things that we've done is we've developed these OpenStack hands-on labs. Much like you get 6 Linux Academy cloud servers, you get AWS environment labs, you get Azure environment labs, but you also get OpenStack environment labs. So specifically in this course, if I were to browse down a little bit, we have one right here, and it's hands-on using the CLI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Start Lab, and what this is doing is in the background, it's provisioning a real OpenStack environment. And real quick, it's auto-playing my video down here, so I'm going to stop that, and it's provisioning a real environment. And so now that we have these credentials, I can actually click on this URL right here, which is going to open up a new OpenStack console. And I'll make sure it looks like the password is just OpenStack. I'm going to type in the username admin, put in the password OpenStack, and it's going to log me into this real OpenStack environment. So that's what we really try to do is we aim to get you this real practical hands-on application. So what I would say is sometimes it's a little bit slower as it just gets done provisioning, but I already have one open right here, and you can see this is what it would look like it just logged in over here as well. And we are actually in the OpenStack environment at this time. So all of these things take a little bit of extra time. When it comes to building content, we know that you guys all want content. We want the updated, most recent, latest, etc. First, we make sure that the certification hasn't updated. So sometimes it might seem like the content's a little outdated. The only difference is the certification hasn't been updated. So most companies don't update the certification as quickly as they update their technology, which creates a conundrum. Because we want to make sure that you can pass the certification and we're teaching what the certification expects, right? And so the real great thing is we've kind of gone through and built these OpenStack labs that give you this hands-on knowledge, and it's all included as part of your Linux Academy membership. So what I would say is to offer OpenStack labs, cloud servers, AWS labs, Azure labs, and soon to be announced labs that we spend a tremendous amount of money on a monthly basis. Our workloads are actually relatively interesting. We manage a tremendous amount of resources at scale through automation with a very small team, which is super awesome. And it's all included as part of your Linux Academy membership, right? So not only do all of our courses, all of our hands-on labs, but you also get all of cloud assessments and all of Scale Your Code as part of your Linux Academy membership. So this has been really, really great. Stephen, since we had, I don't know if you're still there, we had some technical difficulties on the streaming. Are you still there, Stephen?
I'm still here. Is it coming through?
So I'm assuming everybody can hear you. If not, we'll pivot. But why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the material without giving anything away, but maybe give a little bit away, that we're working on this quarter that may be announced next quarter as it relates to OpenStack?
Well, let's see. How could I give the material away without giving it away? I will say this. It's certification based.
Perfect.
What say?
Certification based. That's it. That's absolutely it. So, you know, as part of this, what we are going to have a little bit, I know what we want to do is talk to Amy a little bit about the OpenStack community. I don't think that her stream is working quite yet. What I think we'll do is we'll instead maybe do a quick interview with her. Are we working?
I think she's good, yeah.
Amy, are you there? Awesome. Amy, let's assume that the stream is working. Can you tell us a little bit about your contributions in the OpenStack community and maybe a little bit about what's going on with OpenStack right now inside of OpenStack community?
Tell her to hold up 1 second, I'm sorry.
Oh, hold on 1 second, Amy. I'm going to answer a few questions and then we're going to circle back around to it. For those of you requesting the Google Cloud Certified Data Engineer course, what I will say is watch our prior live streams. Why haven't you watched the live streams from last week? Watch those prior live streams, okay? Because we give some things away. We talk about some of the stuff that we're working on. Also, for those of you who are worried about membership pricing, again, watch on there as well. Man, the perception on this, I'm just now noticing I'm seeing myself up there. But the value on it is, just so you know, as long as you have your Linux Academy membership and don't cancel it, you get to have whatever price that you signed up with. And one of the reasons that we raised our pricing was to reflect all of these new labs and all this new content that's going out here. Because as I would say, the cost is relatively tremendous. It's actually relatively interesting on how costful it is, even when we do all the right things. But not only that, we have all of our course authors on full-time staff, and we are going to launch probably 10 times as much content as we did all last year combined. And it's there. So we don't plan on raising the pricing. We haven't raised pricing in a very, very long time. In fact, what I will say is we still have an original Linux Academy, the original like 5. A couple of them still have our $5 a month membership. We launched in March of 2012 with 1 lab server and 6 Linux videos at $5 a month. They never have once canceled their membership. And so they still have that $5 a month pricing, which we will honor as long as, you know, you don't cancel, right? You get to maintain that actual pricing. So for those of you who see the pricing where we're at now, this is where it's going to be for a while. We don't have plans on changing it. This is meant to reflect all the future growth to help fund it. Everything that we do is reinvested in for our students, whether it's through the design, whether it's through features, whether it's through course authors, whether it's through labs. All of it is being invested inside of that to get you all of the content that you want, and it's really tremendous. So if you want to help with that, share Linux Academy. Refer a friend. You get a $25 referral by referring a friend. You could do that by logging into Linux Academy and do that. And again, we have really costs to it, right? The cost of issuing it is relatively tremendous. Our margins are relatively small. So for those of you that might say, hey, local currencies and whatnot, like we believe in providing pricing at the right point by doing the right thing. Not because we're looking for profits or for money, but because we want to price it at the lowest possible level for the value in order for you to have that. But we also have to be able to pay all of those costs. So on all that stuff. So Amy, let's again, yeah, so everything you guys are announcing, just keep coming back for our course launches, all the stuff you're asking for in the community. If you've posted it inside of Linux Academy Ideas Aha, or if you put it in here, you're willing to bet that we're going to do it. So Amy, why don't you go ahead and continue telling us a little bit about your OpenStack, about the OpenStack community again.
Alrighty, so as a core reviewer for OpenStack Ansible, I do patches regarding that project as well as reviews. And whenever we come up with something, like when we were developing this course, found bugs in documentation, went ahead and did the patches on those and other projects as well. Some upcoming things that are involved with the OpenStack group is that we have Summit coming in Vancouver in May. And if you do sign up to go to Summit, there's $50 off for the COA exam. We have the user survey coming out in April, which goes out and asks operators and users questions so that we can see what parts of OpenStack they're using and how we can best, make changes to help them. And lastly, we have, we just released the Queen's release in February, and we are now working on what's called the Rocky release. And for Berlin, we'll be working on the Stein release. So we already voted on what our next release is going to be named.
Fantastic, fantastic. I appreciate you taking the time to share that with us, Amy. I'm going to wrap up here just a second by answering a few more questions in the community, and then we're going to show what's coming up for announcements this week. And Bob Benson, you asked, when will you have autoplay for next video on the course? So here's what I will say. Every time we do something, it's 100% geared around the student and customer. And what I mean by that is one of the reasons that we want you to hit complete and move on is it's really important for us to know how much of a video, because we know all the way down to the exact minute that you left off in a video, how much of a video is consumed, right? And the reason that these things are important is because we want to make sure that the courses are engaging as possible. However, one of the things that we call at Linux Academy our primary measurement of success is the student success, which one of the ways that we define that is around certification passes. So when somebody reports passing or failing, we take both of those very seriously. So if somebody ever reports failing in the community, immediately we have a team that says, why? Why did they fail, right? Is it because that we failed them by not having the right content? Is it because we didn't have engaging videos? Is it because maybe we just didn't watch the videos or we didn't go through the practice exam, right? Some of those things are very, very important. And so if we were to create autoplay for a course, where you could just have autoplay where it goes to the next one over and over and over and over again, what it would do is it would take that data and it would make it less helpful, which that data allows us to go back and build better content for our students. So we do know it's a request out there. What we want to do is we want to look at it instead of just saying, hey, here, have it. What's the best way to provide that feature, but also kind of protect that passing data so we can make sure that our content is the best for every student that goes here. And just so you all know, as part of your membership, that's what we really focus on. It's not just, hey, we're going to create a whole bunch of content. It's how do we design content and ensure the content is the right amount of content based off of the goals of the student, right? Whether that's a job, a raise, a promotion, or just getting that certification. So you may see some playlist features coming out in the mobile app. You may see a different way of adding the playlists. What I will say is, for example, with learning activities, every single learning activity video is to be consumed with a live environment. We want you to be in there actually doing it. So when you look at our videos, you have interactive diagrams, or you're following along with cloud servers, right? And so we want you to really do that hands-on practical component instead of just playing through the videos, because number one, that's good for your success, but number two, it helps us see where we can improve the content, right? So just know that we have teams consistently working on all of this all of the time, and it's great there. And again, Timothy just asked the question, is one of the 7 servers set up for OpenStack? What we have is the live hands-on environment labs. You can technically install OpenStack on a cloud server if you want. However, what we do is we kind of provision the environment we want for you, and you can launch that self-paced environment as we demoed as part of the lab. And so I'm going to see if we have any other questions. And as we don't, it's going through really quick. And so,
Amy would like to say one too.
Okay, go ahead, Amy.
The OpenStack labs, I've got them all running for 2 hours. So they're going to run for longer than you actually need to do the lesson so that you can go ahead and keep working on them.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And real quick, got another question that says, when can we have one-click deployment, Kubernetes, and Docker Swarm master and end node clusters? So the funny thing is, right, we have some of that. Alternatively, we also have our students that want to build it hands-on, right? So in the cloud servers, as you're following the course, why not learn how to install it and deploy it so we know how to do that? Like, doing that is very, very important. Our hands-on self-paced labs actually will pre-build those, right? So you'll see those learning activities with those pre-built swarms that allow you to plug in some dots and connect them, which is really, really cool. And then we also have Ryan who says, have you guys looked at some kind of pre-assessment feature allowing students to find courses best fit for their skill levels? Go to cloud assessments. That little button at the top. Click on Cloud Assessments. Ours was there way before Pluralsight's. Pluralsight's is question mark. We believe in hands-on. And what that means is everything you do is hands-on. So our assessment system, what you'll do is you can go through a challenge. And what it will do is it'll recommend you hands-on learning activities that you need to take based off how you performed in that challenge. We have 2 quests out there right now, the AWS CSA Associate Level and the AWS CDA, which is super, super awesome. And again, we believe in hands-on, right? We do have a quiz system. We do want you to be prepped for it. There's some things that just require quizzes, but we want you to really take and apply that practical application, which means you need to be in the environment. You need to be clicking around. You need to be doing things. That is why it's so important for you to follow along on those things. Branson has a question. What would you suggest as a workaround for AWS credentials preventing you from following a course like the AWS Developer Course? All of our hands-on labs for everything you need to do in the AWS Developer Course are actually provided in there. It deploys it out, so you should be able to do everything. What I might say is you might be overestimating what you think the AWS Developer Course is. The developer certification is very much geared around understanding and architecting services from a development perspective, not actually developing in there. But as part of our new lab system, it does deploy out API credentials. So you could take those API credentials, you can use an SDK, you could do whatever you want from it. So it's already on there as part of that. So if there's any limitations, feel free to post in the community. Everything that we do is designed around those limitations, so you don't have limitations. That's what we do with our hands-on stuff. Okay. All right, so we're going to close up, and I'm just looking at a few of the questions in the community. And here we go. We have the video should start from where you left last half, way as it helps to continue from last view. No, I agree. I agree they should. You should stay tuned. Okay, so real quick, today we announced our Deploy and Manage OpenStack on Ubuntu Pike. Tuesday, we are announcing Will Boyd. Wednesday, Phil Zona. And Thursday, we are re-announcing Phil Zona. He's going to be announced twice. Super twice. So on Wednesday and Thursday, for those of you asking about pre-hire assessments and assessment things and stuff like that, I would encourage you to join on Wednesday and Thursday. For those of you who are big fans of Terry Cox in our Linux and DevOps section, I would encourage you to join in with Will Boyd and Terry on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday, again, we'll have Phil Zona and Christophe Limpelaere. And Stephen and Amy, thank you so much for coming and joining. Don't forget to follow us. Those who leave a comment on the YouTube video will be entered in to win some swag. And as a final recap, so far this month, we've announced Google Cloud Security Essentials, Google App Engine Deep Dive, AWS IM Deep Dive, building a chatbot with Lex, Deploy and Manage OpenStack on Ubuntu Pike. Then we have our hands-on learning activities, Introduction to IM, building a serverless alerting chatbot with AWS Lex, using for OpenStack the CLI, settings ACLs in Swift, and managing policies. And these coming soons are not just to look pretty. We literally have content in each one of those things that is going to replace that coming soon every single day as we go forward. Thanks for joining us on the live show. You can again follow us and join us. Thank you, Stephen and Amy, for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our next live show. Again, if you are a fan of Linux and DevOps and Terry Cox, come meet Will Boyd and see what he has to announce. See you tomorrow.